Welcome to our Global Talent Visa webinar and Australian National Innovation Visa. You'll have myself, Michelle Hewer, and Michelle Lingham joining you today to talk about the UK Global Talent Visa and the Australian National Innovation Visa. So the agenda is I will be talking about the UK Global Talent Visa first, and then Michelle Lingham will come on and talk about the Australian National Innovation Visa. There is a chat function and a Q&A function in the webinar here. So if you have any questions, please pop it in the chat or the Q&A and we will get to it at the end of our webinar. So today I'll be talking about the UK Global Talent Visa, and I may have spoken to some of you before. I see some familiar names in the room today. My name is Michelle Hewer. I am Vietnamese, Australian, British, and Irish. I have citizenships in those countries. I am a Global Talent Visa coach, and how I became the coach is in 2016. 10 years ago, I was a recipient for the Global Talent Visa. I received the Exceptional Talent status, and then shortly thereafter, I became the Tech Nation Visa Ambassador, because back then it was only 2 years old when I applied for the visa, and they needed lots of people sharing their story to promote the Tech Nation Visa or the Global Talent Visa program. The great thing about the Global Talent Visa is that it allows you to apply for settlement. So in 2019, I applied for my indefinite leave to remain visa, and then I received my citizenship after that. I spent 7 years in the UK in Manchester, London, and Newcastle. I based myself in those three cities for my startup, which I was heavily involved in all those three ecosystems. So I was very active in all those cities. I was an Australian solicitor before I became a tech entrepreneur. And how I started, I wrote about my journey in a Tech Nation Visa blog, and that blog went viral, and that's how I started helping people. First of all, as an ambassador, and then I became a Global Talent Visa coach. So in the last 10 years, I've coached over 2,000 tech entrepreneurs, senior execs, and tech employees. During COVID, I had a 100% success rate for people from Nigeria, and in the summer of last year, I received a 100% success rate for my clients. My average success rate is 90%. I can't guarantee endorsement because the decision lies with the assessor, but with a strong application and structure in your application pack, hopefully you will be endorsed. My best achievement is successful clients receiving their endorsements within 3 to 27 hours. It can take up to 8 weeks, so the earlier they get their decision, the better. The endorsement rate so far is now 40%, so almost 1 in 2 are endorsed. This is why it's so important to get your application right from the outset. Just a quick disclaimer, this is only about the stage 1 endorsement process. I'm not affiliated with the Home Office or Tech Nation. I'm not an immigration solicitor, so all I do is I help with the stage 1 endorsement process. Stage 2 is the visa application, which is what you can do. You can apply for the visa after you get the endorsement. Just a quick explanation about this photo. I work online with all my clients, and I don't see them face to face, but last year I held an event in London where I could actually meet my clients, give them a big hug to congratulate them on receiving the Global Talent Visa. And we had a great turnout and saw them and was able to introduce them to each other as well, because this is a lonely process and it is very stressful. I've been through it, and I understand how my clients feel when they go through it as well. So it was really nice to get them to all meet up and have a great evening. Some of my clients have been with big tech companies, with smaller companies, startups, and various different roles. So I've helped people who have worked for Sony, LinkedIn, Meta, Google, Zoom, Oracle, Coinbase, and Intel, to investors, founders, CTOs, CEOs, and then UX designers, game designers, digital marketers, cybersecurity experts. The list just goes on and on and on. However, even though I help people in those same roles, everyone has a different and unique story to tell, and I'm here to help them tell their story and highlight their achievements and strengths. I also help people who have graduated, MBAs, PhD students from Russell Group universities. So they are very good candidates as well. So if you are one, please do come and talk to me, and we can shape your application in the best way. So the UK Global Talent Visa is a special visa that was introduced in 2014 to allow highly skilled tech entrepreneurs and talent in digital technologies the ability to apply for the right to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It's a two-stage process. So the first stage is applicants must meet the strict criteria set by Tech Nation, which is the endorsing body. And if they do meet the criteria and the assessors believe that they are an exceptional talent or an exceptional promise candidate, they will be endorsed. Once they get the endorsement, they can then apply for the stage 2 visa. And that is, you just need to supply your endorsement certificate, go through the criminal record checks and everything, and then you can hopefully get your visa. It is more than a job application, so it might look like you do have to provide examples of your work, but some of the criteria talks about things outside of your day-to-day job. So I'll go through that in a second. The Global Talent Visa is an umbrella visa. There are different endorsing bodies endorsing applicants from different sectors. So I only deal with the digital technology sector, and Tech Nation are the endorsing body for digital technology applicants. But there are other sectors such as fashion, arts, research, engineering, and architecture, and there are different endorsing bodies for those sectors. But we are only focusing on the digital technology sector. The benefits, and I've lived and breathed this, it gives you freedom and flexibility to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. You can extend this visa as well. You can apply for indefinite leave to remain, which is like a permanent residency, and then British citizenship if you want to. I help a lot of people switch from their current skilled worker visa, which is a company-sponsored visa, to the Global Talent Visa, and time in the UK under this skilled worker visa counts. So I've had clients have a skilled worker visa for 2 years, switch to the Global Talent Visa for 1 year if they've received exceptional talent status, and that's 3 years, and then they can apply for permanent residency or indefinite leave to remain straight away because their time in the UK counts, which is great. You can also bring your dependents with you. You can also register a UK limited company, and this is where some students would benefit from the Global Talent Visa and switched from their student visa because they have restrictions under their student visa. So I've helped clients switch from student to Global Talent, and then they can start their startup, which is amazing, and register their company. You can work for a tech company without the need for a company sponsorship as well. So this is why a lot of people want the Global Talent Visa, because they're not restricted. They can do whatever they want, so long as obviously they work in the tech sector. And this is great. When I got it, I was working on my startup, but I also took a break from my startup, worked for a university, and then took a break from that, and then worked for an accelerator program, and I was the community manager there. And then I went back to my startup. So it was really easy. I could jump around and do what I wanted, and then go back to my startup. It's attached to you, and it is cost effective as well. The stage 1 endorsement process is in the hundreds, not thousands. It's only when you are endorsed, then you go to the higher fee, but that's only because of the immigration health surcharge, which everyone has to pay for anyway. So it is quite cost effective in the first stage. There are 15 documents which you need to submit. The first 5 is everyone needs to submit their CV, their personal statement, which is like, a statement about why you want to have this visa and what contributions you'll make to the UK tech sector. And then you need to provide 3 letters of recommendations by experts in your field. You need to know these experts, and they need to have known you for more than 12 months. They talk about your contributions to your own country if you're not in the UK, or in the UK if you are in the UK, and also highlight your achievements and strengths and explain why you are a leader in your field. Your experts also have to have some credibility as well, so they have to have expert status. The assessors are not only assessing you, they're assessing your experts. So they should be Googleable, they should be people who are prominent in the industry. They can be C-suite, and they can be, people who are head of their companies, but it's not enough just to be a leader of their own companies. They also need to be a leader in their industry as well. So I help my clients pick who these experts are. We have a list, and unfortunately we have to go through a process of elimination to pick out who are the best experts for you. And then the remaining 10 documents need to be from the mandatory and optional criteria you choose. And I'll go through that in a second as well. So there are three parts to your application. You need to show eligibility, you need to pick your criteria, and then what category you will apply under. So I'll go through the eligibility first. Even though this is a digital technology application or visa, they understand that people can come from a business background or commonly a technical background, and I help a lot of people with both. And I think a lot of people in the business with a business background struggle most with, because they have to apply it to tech, they don't have a solid technical role, so which is fine. So business applicants have to demonstrate that they have a proven commercial investment or product expertise in building digital tech products or leading investments in significant digital technology businesses. So the typical roles are product managers, those in sales, growth marketers, investors, C-suites. I've helped people who are customer success managers or biz dev. So they're involved in the growing and selling, generating revenue for the company. You can also be a technical applicant, and these are more common. They must demonstrate technical expertise with the latest technologies in building, using, deploying, or exploiting a technology stack and building technical infrastructure. So the likes of software engineers in AI, ML, machine learning, cybersecurity experts, hardware, CTOs, data scientists, and UI, UX designers. Now, where you work is important. They want you to work for product-led digital technology companies. So those that are building their own digital technology products, rather than people who work for consultancies who are advising in their specific area of expertise. So they want you to be working for companies that have a proprietary digital technology software or hardware. That's a big one because the criteria specifically mentions that. And then this leads me on to the criteria. So you have to choose 3 out of 5 criteria, but the first criteria is one that you have to choose. It's the mandatory criteria, and you have to show some kind of leadership. This leadership is about your national and international recognition in the field. So it's not just about your internal leadership of you working in your own company. It's about your external thought leadership in the sector as well. So you should really have a public profile, such as speaking at events, author of any articles, in the media publications. If you Google yourself, what will you find? And a lot of people say to me, yeah, I have my LinkedIn profile, that's on Google, which is great, but we need more than that. So putting yourself out there, making sure that you have thought leadership in the space, and building the right evidence for that. I mentioned experts, and again, experts need to have that as well. So really need to make sure that your experts have expert status or thought leadership, and you also have to have that. You need to provide at least 3 or 4 examples of leadership, and I'll go through how much in a second with the category. The next criteria is your optional criteria, and this is where you have the choice. There's 4 optional criteria, and you choose 2 out of 4. The first one is innovation, and it's usually for technical people who can show, that they have patents, and not everyone has patents. So if you are technical, you need to show, your designs, your architect, your, engineering systems that you've designed. If you are a business applicant, then you would need to show, maybe your sales, commercial revenue, how you innovated in growing and leading the company. The second criteria is about your outside of your day-to-day job that advances the tech sector. The third criteria is any commercial, entrepreneurial, or technical impact that you've made while you were working for your product-led digital technology company. And fourth criteria is any academic contributions you've made. So you only need to choose 2 out of 4 of these criteria. So pick your 2 best ones. And of those 2 best ones, you need to have at least 3 examples. That way it makes up the 10 documents that's required. So for example, you would have 4 examples of leadership, and then 3 examples of, say, innovation, and 3 examples of, say, impact, and that would make up 10 documents. The category in which you apply also makes a difference. If you've got more than 5 years experience in the digital technology sector, you would apply under talent. If you have less than 5 years experience in the digital technology sector, you would apply under promise. The difference is the exceptional talent shows that you're a leader. The exceptional promise shows that you're an emerging leader. So if you're senior in your career, sorry, next step. If you're senior in your career, you would, be the more than 5 years, and then you can get your indefinite leave to remain within 3 years with exceptional talent status. But if you go for exceptional promise, it means that you're a bit more junior in your career. You've got less than 5 years experience, and you can apply for your indefinite leave to remain within 5 years. So the difference is in 2 years. Okay. If I do have a lot of questions about people, I've got more than 5 years experience, but I want to go for promise. The assessors will probably still assess you under talent, because you should be applying under talent if you've got more than 5 years experience. So you can't sort of circumvent that process. If you are on the cusp though, I have some clients who say I've got 5 years experience, we'd probably go under promise generally, but it really depends, because some people have, a senior in their job title, and then they try to apply under promise, and that's not junior, it's senior, so you should go under talent. So yeah, I do get a lot of questions about that. So the fees, as I said before, it is cost effective. So stage 1, which is the endorsement stage, is £561. Within stage 1, there are 2 steps to the process. The first thing you need to do is pay and apply online at the Home Office, which is the visa office. And then, even though this is an endorsement application, you still have to apply through the Home Office. Then what they do is then they give you a receipt and a number. And then step 2, you then email all your documents, your 15 documents, to the Home Office, and then they will send it on to TechNation, who will endorse or review your application. Everything just goes through the Home Office. And it is strange that we're still just emailing. They did have a portal, but it's now gone back to the email system. TechNation has up to 8 weeks to consider your application. The average time is 3 to 4 weeks. And they either they email you to tell you whether you're successful or unsuccessful. If you are successful, great, you go straight to the Home Office, and again back to the Home Office, and you apply for your visa. That's your stage 2. That's £201. You do your biometrics, and then the immigration health surcharge is over £1,000 per year. So if you are endorsed with exceptional talent, you pay for 3 years if you want to, and then you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. So you need to pay that 1,000 times 3, so that's 3,000 upfront. And if you are endorsed with exceptional promise, then you would apply for 5 years, and that would be times 5. So that's where the higher fee goes. And then they can take up to 3 to 8 weeks. I think you can expedite that. I've had clients ask for an expedited decision. And that means they have to pay extra to get a decision quickly, and to get their visa quickly. If you are unsuccessful though, the good thing is you can appeal. Unfortunately, no one wants to be unsuccessful, but the assessor they do give feedback about your application. And then if you feel that they've made a mistake, not that you don't like the decision, but that they've made a mistake in assessing your application based off the criteria, you can appeal the decision, and I help with that. You have 28 calendar days in which to respond or appeal, and then they have 28 calendar days in which to respond. What happens then, it goes to a new assessor to assess your application, and that assessor reviews everything, and they come back to you within 28 calendar days and either says, yes, we agree with you, and we will endorse you. So that means your application is successful, and then you will apply for stage 2. Or they will say, I'm sorry, we agree with the first assessor, and these are our reasons why we agree, and then they'll give you more feedback. What you do with that feedback is up to you. What I do tend to tell my clients sometimes is it is good to get feedback, and you can resubmit with fresh evidence or restructure your application and go again and go through that whole process again, which is why it's important to get your application checked the first time. Do it right the first time, because you don't really want to go around doing it the second time. Having said that, I have helped a lot of people who've done it themselves the first time, or have had other help and they didn't get it. And the great thing is there's feedback. We look at that feedback, restructure their application, and sometimes they do get it the second time around. So all is not lost is what I'm saying. These are the common questions that I get asked and I can help my clients with. Is first of all, am I eligible? Because you want to make sure that you are eligible and you can meet the criteria before you go into this huge process of doing all these 15 documents, and asking your experts to help you. How do you present your documents? What is relevant information? I have so many clients who have, 15, 20 years experience, and there's so much to go through. We have to sift through what's relevant, what's important, what's, the strongest piece of evidence, but versus what's weaker. So we decide that, and that's why that is important. Only relevant information is submissible, because you don't want to crowd your application and lose the assessor. They don't have much time, and you want to tell your story in the most clear, concise way so they can endorse you. I help with who can be your experts. How do you show innovation? How do you show your impact? How do you show that you are an exceptional leader? And as you can see, it's all about structure and your story. And the main question sometimes is, I've received an unsuccessful decision. What should I do? And I help clients with that as well. So, some of my top tips after doing this for 10 years and also being a recipient and a coach: prepare early. And this comes from helping clients whose current visas, whatever visas they're on, are expiring, and we have to like hurry up and get them submitted as soon as possible before their visa expires. Or, and especially in my case as well, I only had 3 months left of my existing visa before it expired, and I'd have to leave the country. So I quickly had to do this myself, and I didn't sleep for about 2 months. The reason why you need to prepare early is, the documents do matter, and also you're relying on experts who might not get back to you. It's not their priority to write you letters, but it is in your best interest to, do this early so you can give them this time. I had an academic sit on my letter for 3 weeks, and I was really itching for them to hurry up and sign it. So, and that process, you cannot, um, you know, yeah, you can't push your experts along because they're doing you a favor. So prepare as early as possible and seek support, even having someone review your application before you submit. This process, unfortunately, is about self promotion. If you don't promote yourself and show the assessor your achievements and strengths, they're not going to know that. They're not going to assume anything. You need to tell them why you are an exceptional talent, why you are an emerging leader, why you should be in the UK over anyone else, and the structure of your evidence is really important. And then your network is your net worth, because they do assess your experts as well, and they have to make sure that the experts are experts. They're saying the right things about you, so that they can safely endorse you, because they're only going off an application. There's no interview process, so everything has to be correct, relevant, and right. And then also look for activities beyond your day-to-day job. It's so important to use this process to look at where you currently stand. And yes, if you do your job, you get paid to do your job, and that's it. This process is not about that. This process is, okay, what do you do to contribute to the wider tech ecosystem, not only to the UK, because if you're not in the UK, that's absolutely fine. If you're in your own home country, what do you do there to make your tech sector better because of you, because of what you're doing? Because if you do that in your home country, you're more likely to do it in the UK if you are endorsed. So hopefully that helps you. It's very brief, but I hope that's enough for you to go on. And if you have any questions, please do, just ask in the chat. I can see some questions already, but I've got to stop sharing my screen now. And I'm going to introduce Michelle, and Michelle hopefully can come on and then talk about the Australian National Innovation Visa. And she is going
Hi,
to come on.
sure.
I can see her. Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so
Uh,
much for having me. And
Thank
I
you.
I am going to say I probably should have gone first because it's a hard hard
That's
act to follow.
okay. Oh
Uh,
no, don't be silly. I'm so excited because, the UK Global Talent Visa, I've been doing it for so long, but hearing about, what's happening in Australia, and I am Australian, but it's always good to know what Australia is doing. And yeah, it's great to see that you're doing this, and we can see the differences and giving people options.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've had to create this visa because talent like Michelle do leave Australia, and so therefore we need to attract and retain talent through our own programs. Not that I'm joking. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? Okay, if you can't, put your hands up or let me know. If not, I will keep going. I really enjoyed your presentation, Michelle, because there are a lot of similarities. However, this program has changed so much over the years. And I am excited to share about the new changes that occurred. So, yes, sit back, relax. Please put your questions into the chat box, and Michelle and I will go through them at the end. So, what I would like to share with you, for those who aren't familiar about us, we will go through that. What is the National Innovation Visa, also known as the NIV? Who can nominate? So it's really important, a very similar process to what Tech Nation's doing. So you can, for the National Innovation Visa, you can actually get individuals, organizations, or government agencies or peak bodies to recommend you, nominate you, how to apply, and we'll go through any questions at the end. So I'm going to go through this briefly, but just a little bit about my background. I am a migration advisor based in Sydney, Australia. I love what I do. I've been practicing for over 17 years. This is my 18th year. I accidentally got involved with Distinguished at the time. It was called Distinguished Talent Visas. It then evolved in 2019 to the Global Talent Visa, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. What was the biggest shift was that initially the Distinguished Talent Visa only had 200 allocations per year. But somehow people just kept finding me and I kept doing them, even though it was one of the hardest visa programs. I've helped talent from across so many walks of lives. One of my favorite ones are breakdancers, voice actresses. But when the program changed into the Global Talent Visa program, it broke down into 10 priority sectors. And that's where my love of working with entrepreneurs, founders, and people in tech, health, and other professional industries. That's where it came from. And then, lucky me, it changed again in 2024. So that in December, it changed. And what occurred was that it has now become an invitation only visa program. I personally think it's great. It is great in the sense of for those who seriously meet the requirement, it is one of the best visa programs, and it should be treated as I guess, celebrating your career and showing Australia what you have on a national and international level. If you don't have that caliber or capability, then that we do have other visa programs such as skilled migration, employer-sponsored visas, and other family programs. However, I always say to people, you cannot define a talent through points. How do you say someone with 10 years experience are subject to these amounts of points? You can't compare that person to someone who's worked for a big four or someone who's worked for a small to medium business. Like it's just ridiculous. And a lot of people who are talented, the more experience you get, the older you are getting. But you're penalized for being over 45. You can't apply for permanent residency through traditional visas. So the perfect, I guess, happy balance with this program is the fact that it's created that space for anyone of any age. There you can be over 18, under 18 or over 55. You just need to provide extra criteria. Also similar to the visa Michelle was talking about, it is for established and emerging leaders. So you don't have to have a long-standing career as long as you can provide proof that you have emerging talent. So who's it exactly for? Global researchers, so your academics, entrepreneurs, so your professionals, innovative investors, that's a new one, and athletes and creatives. Now, I would like to also share that in July 2024, big year, that they stopped the 188 Business and Innovation Visa investment program to new applicants. So people with businesses and large amounts of wealth, if you don't satisfy the National Innovation Visa criteria, then unfortunately there isn't really this is not a stream for you. There's no possible way to bring your business and funds here. So we've been very selective. Okay, so another new thing about the innovation visa is that they've introduced priority levels, which I think is fantastic because I treat this process like a plane. They'll let in business class first, next your premium economy, and then the rest will be the economy class. So it's everyone's going to get there. It's just a matter of how fast do you want to get there. And so, priority one are people who are exceptional, who get top awards. So, your Nobel Prize recipients, your Olympians with their gold medals. Essentially, whatever it is in your industry, if you can get the top levels and it's the Olympics equivalent, then you would be classified as priority one. Now, priority two is when you are endorsed, and I believe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but it's like having equivalent of technation. So each state and territory government have their own government agencies. And so you can apply to see if they would complete the Form 1000. I am going to share in a later slide that some states are closed, some states are open, and oddly, they will have different requirements in addition to the federal requirements. Priority three, this is where all my tech favorites, critical technology people are. It's not a bad spot to be in, and we've seen people get invited under this category, so please don't feel deterred by priority one and priority two. And priority four, we have seen invitees as well, so it's not, please don't feel deterred by this process. But what I try to encourage my clients and anyone that I work with, try go as high as possible. If you can go for priority two, do it. If you can't, and that's okay. You still have the same concept. It's just a matter of fact. It's just when are you going to get your application viewed? Also, another important thing about this is that your expression of interest that you submit with the department is only valid for 2 years. And going from the history of the program since it was introduced, people have been invited to date. So the question you should have is why them and not me? Now, this is also another important reason to show why priority categorizing is very important. As you can see in priority one and three and four, you can have anyone to be your nominator as long as they are in the same industry as you. So the way I explain that is that if you're in tech, you can't have a registered nurse be your nominator. They need to be in the same profession as you and live and breathe your industry. For the people in this in priority two, they need to be endorsed by a government agency. Why people want these priority one and two, you can see that you can be any sector. So you can be anything. You just need to be exceptionally talented. And then if you are in priority three or four, you are categorized based on your profession and industry. So breaking down priority two processing, as mentioned, each state and territory governments have their own jurisdiction and their own individual priorities. I was going to put a map of Australia on here, but I didn't. Sorry about that. But Australia is quite large, and at present, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, and Northern Territory are open. It's very exciting. And they all have separate processes. So we've had clients go through Victoria, South Australia, and Queensland. And Michelle mentioned that in her process that she went through, there's no interviews. Victoria and Queensland and South Australia will interview you. So it's really important if you are going to go down that process, you need to be very comfortable and confident to articulate and explain yourself. Even if you're a humble person, you've just got to be prepared for that. New South Wales have a great process. However, they do have their like they do their checks, very similar to the Department of Home Affairs. They don't do interviews. Um, Hopefully soon, ACT, Western Australia and Tasmania join the party, but we're still waiting. Now I've added this slide for my tech people. So why choose where you move to? Queensland, New South Wales, Canberra, the ACT, Victoria, South Australia, and Western Australia all have their different pros and cons. And I'm not going to be biased, okay? I'm from New South Wales, but as you can see, 200 as of this was 2024, 241 AI companies are headquartered in New South Wales, so almost 50%. So whether you are that type of person where you're like, okay, great, I'm going to go where it all is, or you're going to decide to go to another state where it's less saturated. It just depends on what sort of environment you want to be in. Each state and territory have so many perks. Melbourne just got voted best city in the world. So congratulations to them, but I still love Sydney. Yeah, it's really important to understand where you'd want to move to. And if you are going to go for priority two processing, I would say it would be very important and critical for you to start integrating prior to getting this visa. Okay, continuing on. So there are three groups of people that can nominate you. And like I said, if you really want to go for priority two, you need to be at a state government level basis. So priority, the main thing is that they need to provide a completed Form 1000. That Form 1000 is essentially details all about you and details about the organization or the individual. We've had done everything. So there are no pros and cons whether you have an individual or an organization backing you. Great if they are an organization, but these two are absolutely fine. So, for example, we've had deans from universities nominate candidates on an individual basis for obvious reasons. They have no control over the university. And people who've worked for organizations that they don't have policies to do that. So the person is so compelling that they want to still nominate them as an individual basis. I hope that makes sense. So yes, they will need to show that they have a national reputation in the same area as you. So bringing back that example, you can't get someone in a totally different sector to, even though they're super senior, to recommend you. Okay. So how to apply? It is a nice, clear process. You submit your expression of interest and it is free and that is valid for 2 years. So you need to prepare your documentation, showcase your talent and get it in there. One of the things that have changed with this new introduction is that you cannot update it at all. Once it's in, that's it. You cannot change the information. The only thing you can do is if some things changes beyond that is so compelling from your initial lodgements, then you can have the possibility of withdrawing your application and resubmitting. But I would only suggest doing that if you have moved up to a priority level. So wait for the invitation or your EOI expires. If your EOI expires, then my recommendation is to either look at to reassess, look at your approach, or to aim for a higher priority level. If you are invited, you are given 60 days to make a valid application. If you do not do it, you need to start again. That's not ideal. Um, Once you have applied, you just need to apply and wait for the Department of Home Affairs to go through all the requirements. This is a permanent visa to Australia, so they will assess the visa criteria, your health, and your character. So you need to satisfy all of those requirements. Sometimes being exceptionally talented, but let's say there are health implications that may impact your application, or there are criminal convictions. S- there is a health, a character test, and you can be assessed against that. I have had clients where they have had uh, things appear on their police clearances, but they were minor convictions. So just be very mindful that it's not just about your talent when you do submit with the Department of Home Affairs. If you do have any medical or character issues, I strongly, strongly recommend getting advice from a advisor or lawyer, just because you may need to have a look at provisions for health and character waivers. Okay. If you are not invited or your visa is refused, like I said, get help. Professionals look at this every day. You do not, and you're probably so busy doing your own exceptional thing on your own time. So maybe something minor was missed, or maybe something completely different. Like it's just what I do when I look at my clients, I look at the migration regulations and then I look at their profile. And so we try to do a balance of everything to make sure that there is an equal balance. Um, Review your EOI and get a second opinion, or consider other visa programs that are better aligned to you. So maybe an employer-sponsored visa is a better route. Maybe applying for skilled visas is better for you. The problem is when, for those who want to get a visa faster, they think they're probably better suited to actually employer-sponsored visas or in skilled migration, but they do go for this, but they clog the system from genuine candidates, and it's really, I guess, disheartening. And that's why I am on a mission to educate people as much as possible about the program. And if it is for you, go for it. If it's not, that's okay. You can either apply for it at a later stage or apply for a better visa suited to you. So what do you need to demonstrate? I really appreciated Michelle going through all the requirements, what to meet, but this is very ambiguous. So it's really, of course, non-negotiable. You must be invited, be nominated, and provide a Form 1000 from your nominator. Now, have an internationally recognized record of exceptional achievement. A perfect demonstration of this is that you need to show that this is whatever you do is transferable globally. So not your product shouldn't just be from your home country and just Australia. You need to show that if we don't invite you, you're going to take this off to another different country and we lose that opportunity. So you want to show that your product wherever you go is recognized. Outstanding achievement, it sounds super ambiguous, but you want to show that you go above and beyond a typical employee, that you're doing extra activities, mentoring, participating in events, speaking, just things that are not within that traditional 9 to 5 scope. Um, I can tell you now, I absolutely love what I do, and it doesn't feel like work. And I probably can say that you guys probably feel the same. And so those are the things that you just need to grab is that, oh, yes, I went to this event, I spoke there, or yes, I went to the local university and I taught all these students, or I provided a lecture here. So it's up for interpretation. You just need to show it. Easier ways to show it are receiving awards or receiving or providing articles about your achievements. I try to be mindful with what is provided. It has to be verifiable by third-party providers. I actually had a client. I took over this matter from another advisor, and I said, "Give me a copy of the application. Let's have a look at it." And he was trying to demonstrate his awards, and what he had was a photo of his product and a GIF, or not a GIF, like a screenshot of the award. I'm like, okay, so you've given me a photo, but where's this is just a sticker. Like, can you give me details about it? Can you give me details of how it was published? And so they had a bit of a better understanding why they need to provide it, not just show it, if that makes sense. Still be prominent. So for those who are actively working, showing that you are current, it is probably really important to show this, especially if you're heading towards retirement and you don't want to show the department that your ability is going to be diminishing in the near future, because this is a permanent visa. Show that you're going to be an asset to the community. So this is key, okay, guys? Because you don't want to show that you are going to benefit yourself or your employer. You want to show that you're going to benefit the industry. So if you're able to travel on a national level or international level, represent the what talent and what we have and capabilities we have in Australia, that's important. People who invest in the next generation, people who try to, I guess, shape industries. That's showing that you're an asset. Have the ability to establish yourself in Australia, so you need to live and breathe and live off your talent. So if you come here based as a top tech entrepreneur, but then you've quit your day job and then you started working somewhere else, not related, that's not ideal. So you really need to provide documentation to show that you have no difficulty becoming established in Australia. Um, I have, when people provide me job adverts showing that these are jobs that they can apply for, that doesn't cut it. It does not. You want to be able to show that people are poaching you, or show that you have multiple projects going on, understanding the market and what market you can capture. There are a lot of things you can do. Be this age, so age is, like I said, ideally between 18 and 55. If you are over, there's just extra requirements, and if you're under, there's just extra requirements. My youngest tech client was 24, but throughout high school and university, he was aggressively attending and dominating hackathons and really participating. So he was really amazing. But when I was working with him, he's like, "Why are you giving me a hard time?" Like, I'm not. I'm just asking questions that the department will be asking you. So it's really important. You can be anyone, but it's just important to show that you innovation talent doesn't know an age. So you just need to show that it's not likely to diminish. Um, have a functional English. So for those who speak no English, you can pay for a second visa application charge to get out of an English test, but um, most people who do come here, they do speak a functional level of English. So you don't need to do a super hard academic proficient level. It's functional. And as mentioned, you need to meet the health and character requirements. Okay. So common mistakes, I are picking the wrong nominator. I think I've been clear with why that's wrong. So just be sure that you pick someone who gets you and gets your profession and industry. Rushing the application. So I agree with when Michelle said, start early. You don't want to leave something out because, as mentioned, you can't update this. That's it. This one I don't like either. Submitting generic and weak documentation. So I'm all about quality over quantity. Some people just go into a mass panic and they think providing a bunch of information to then overwhelm the case officer who's assessing their EOI with information. If you can provide clarity and impactful documentation, that is key. Not aligning your profile with Australian National Innovation Visa priorities. So if you look, you guys are all in tech. Like I'm sure you tech's everywhere. But if you've got something that's not a national or state interest, you're probably better off applying for another visa program. Which takes me to point five. Apply for the right visa. Nominators are the second one. I love the nomination process. I actually encourage and support organizations to just go straight for nominating people over employer-sponsored visas. Why nominating, even though they can get a job through the company? This is a permanent visa, and you're if you are sponsoring someone through employer sponsorship, you're tied by sponsorship obligations and restricting this person to work just for your company. And they need to be on a full-time contract to then transition to permanent residency. If they go through this process, they are using their credibility, their experience, and their national level opinion that you are a key contributor. Um, which leads in the next one, thinking they're offering you a job or having to put their home on as a guarantor. No, they don't need to do that. They are able to demonstrate their national status and provide recommendation, endorsing you without understanding the criteria. So people who is another one. So people who are just writing saying that you're a good person and they back you. That's not really ideal. They need to provide subject interest information, providing generic or vague endorsements. I think these are all just blending into each other, but these are just common mistakes that people do. And rushing the nomination process, so they panic. And sometimes the EOI process, okay, so sorry, go back. The EOI process does not require you to have a nominator, and some people have, and I've dealt with this, some people have submitted a EOI and have received invitations without their nominator, and they are like, oh my gosh, I've got 60 days to find someone who's willing to nominate me. And then when they're looking for someone to nominate, they're panicking, and everyone's all panicking, and yeah, it's not a good process for anyone. And it's really important to have everything ready from day one, or the word go. Um, why get support? Look, the program is designed for people to do it themselves. It's like we can do our own taxes if we want to, but do you really want to? I don't. That's why I get a tax accountant. So for immigration purposes, is we understand and we can see any blind spots that you may not realize, and that is worth emphasizing on your application. Another thing is demonstrating migration regulations. So that's how the Department of Home Affairs assess your visa application. They don't assess it with who's got the prettiest documentation or who's the nicest person. They have separate visa regulations that they assess you under. So they'll say, are you nominated? Okay, great, tick. Let's look at these documentation. Are you going to be a benefit to the Australian economy? Okay, great. Let's satisfy this requirement. So we always look and think about the migration regulations when we assess and support our clients. Monitoring your application until date of decision. So during the process, you can get requests from the department or government agencies. So having someone constantly watching your application on a daily basis, or if they're monitoring, it's nothing gets missed because sometimes they have timelines. Because you guys are let's face it, you guys are busy running your own businesses, doing your thing. So it's just good to know that someone's watching it while you don't have to. And then get expert help to showcase your talent. And same thing, some people don't want to talk about themselves. They're very humble. They're don't think that something's worth mentioning. It's everything's important. And I try to really ask the right questions when it comes to my clients, because one of my favorite examples is that imagine yourself in a room and there are 100 versions of you. You're in a group of people with 100 tech professionals, all in the same age group, all the same qualifications, and take a step back and say, okay, here are three things that make me stand out from those other people that are in the same profession, same age demographic, same education level. So it's really important to understand how to make yourself stand out from those people standing next to you. Okay. Thank you. I hope I didn't bore you. We are now going to open up the chat for questions and answers. Hi, Michelle. I will stop my share. Okay.
Thank you. That was really interesting. I learned so much, and I could see the similarities with the UK Global Talent Visa with the National Innovation Visa. So, yeah, it was really good. Thank you.
No, look, it's a fantastic program, and for those who meet that requirement, it's just it's such a good process. And I always
Yeah.
say it's like a celebration of your career.
I think so. My clients have said it's a PhD of their career.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Like, we were talking about it before, where it's like you got to stack evidence on evidence on evidence and make and convince them as to why they should be invited to apply, or in the UK Global Talent Visas case, why they should be endorsed. And yeah, and you're right in saying that. Explain it so that they deserve to be in the UK or Australia. Not they're taking anything from those countries. They're bringing their talent to those countries to make it better because of them.
And absolutely. And I say to people, it's not a one-way ticket. We want you to expand with the globe. We want you to be holding the Australian flag. And to
Or the
showcase.
UK
Um,
flag.
but you want people want to see you do well. So yeah, I think starting early is really important. But I think the people here, you know for a fact you've got something special about you. It's just a matter of you either on the edge going, do I go to the UK? Do I go to Australia? Where do you want to go? But you know that you are a contributor in your profession. So understanding how can you use that as your superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That example about the room was spot on because you know you, you can't really see you outside of yourself, which is, this whole process. And when I was doing my own application, it was like I had to kind of step out of myself and maybe think about writing about my best friend, or, because it is hard to write about yourself and gloat and brag about yourself, but it's not bragging. It's highlighting your achievements, having metrics, and convincing someone that you have done the hard work and you need to be rewarded for that hard work, and the reward is being in a different country to do what you do, which, yeah, it's strange to say, but that's what you have to do if you want to move to another country.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess you were cheeky. You had questions in your slide. So I guess anyone who's particularly interested in Australia or UK, speak now or forever hold your peace, because I have been submitted some questions. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think where people struggle are self-promotion, and I think there are people find it hard to do that when, so for example, this is, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but when I have someone who doesn't really want to go out of their way, they're shy, or it's not their personality trait. It's just like, how do I do that if that's just not me?
Yeah.
You look at what you're good at. So not every talent is the same.
Yes. Yeah, I have a lot of technical applicants who sit behind the computer, and they're better at coding and they're better at giving advice in behind the screen. They don't want to go out and speak in public, which is fine. So I have those technical clients that contribute through tech communities, online communities like the GitHub, and all those communities where they ask questions and they help, and writing articles and things that don't require them to show their face if they don't want to. So yeah, it can require you to get you out of your comfort zone, but it can also require you just to do more for your tech community. Really, that's what the UK wants to see, is they want to see you contributing to the tech community, not just for your own employer because you get paid to do that and everyone does that, but to set yourself apart from everyone else is contributing to the sector that you want to be in and that you're
Absolutely.
joining. Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree with the your network is your net worth comment that you made. So luckily for you guys, your process is more like how many people can you provide? I ask for a lot more than just three
Same.
people.
Same.
I
Yeah.
ask for quite a large number, but the reason why I do ask for a large number is that everyone's different.
Mm.
Everyone is recommending a different aspect of your career, and also global mobility as well as more. Are we providing a saturated bunch of people supporting your talent from one country, or are you spreading it across different parts? And then also, the fact that you are working with third party timelines, like you don't know their schedule. So if if you can work on it on the basis like, okay, I'm going to ask this many people and I get back 10
Yeah.
perfect ones, great.
Absolutely, yeah, and you're right. I think as experts in what we do every day, we go over and above what the guidelines require. So
Dude,
yeah, yeah. Well, we feel like we have to because they're making sure that we do a good job, and that is working over and above. So with the three letters of recommendations by experts, that's a requirement. But as Michelle said, for hers, she looks for more. A typical applicant submitting their documents would, in the UK Global Talent Visas case, I usually have about six or seven, and yeah, that's just the norm, and which is fine because the more people who will support you, the more experts you know, the more people who can support you to verify your evidence, the better. So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
I think hang on for Australia. I can't assess you right here, right now. I'd like to do that. That'd be fun.
Is
But
that an
I always
Australian
try to,
question or a UK question?
no, well, if it's Australia, I put Australia. If you want to get assessed, click that link below. I can assess you there. That's not a
Okay.
problem.
I have, yeah, just go onto my website if you're looking at being assessed for the UK Global Talent Visa. I have an assessment form as well. So, yeah, that would be good. It is
Okay.
important to get assessed properly. Um, when I do my discovery calls, I assess for eligibility, but I also assess if you're going to meet the criteria because meeting the eligibility requirements, if you're a business or technical applicant, is only one hurdle. The second hurdle is making sure that you meet the criteria so you can then start dedicating your time to this process. So, yeah, that's a good question. Anyone else? I can see people sitting there. They're probably shy or they're probably just waiting for us to give them more information. What's the oh yeah, can you give me some data? You love data,
Oh,
stats.
I do love
Yeah.
data. So the department are issuing, so they receive each invitations. They issue invitations on a quarterly basis and a monthly basis. So it's really important when you've got this information that you assess which categories are saturated and which are not. And if you can sort of aim for higher, I guess, programs or
Priority.
other ways to get categories, I think that's where I try to show my clients and navigate what's saturated and what's not saturated. Because once again, we'll use the example of people in the room, like 100 people in the room. It's just like, how do I stand out in there? But if you're like, oh, I'm more of an innovative investor in this side of things because I am a technical expert, but I also do angel investing or I mentor people. You kind of just see if you can take a shift in potentially the eh, you just need to stand out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that sort of somewhat answered the question. Is just knowing what's happening and the numbers coming through, and how to position yourself. Guru, good question. I did. Would you like? No. What's the assessment? Mine
Yeah.
is just do the link. I will go over it, and it's a complimentary assessment. And if you wish to book a consultation, you're very welcome to book a consultation after that.
Yeah, mine are free. So just fill in my eligibility questionnaire and it's free for me to look at. Obviously email you and then invite you for a free 15-minute discovery call. So yeah, it's if there's no cost. Um so with the technology, what's going on in Australia? Are they looking for AI, fintech,
Oh my goodness. Okay,
machine
guys.
learning? That's the buzzwords.
So look, I like, of course, this is going to be timestamped for today, but like, So much is happening, and I don't know if, and I post quite frequently. So for those who want to
Yeah,
connect with me on LinkedIn, I will put my profile down in the chat. But the OpenAI, Anthropic, and Stripe have all set up head offices, expanding, not head offices, expanding into Australia. So they're setting up here. So
amazing.
it's just showing that if they're moving and investing hundreds of millions to set up and create jobs and provide a capability to the APAC region, it's just showing there's a shift, and there's a lot of things happening in data with data centers. Um, AI, yes. What I say, there was a massive cull of people from, I think it was Atlassian, and that scared a lot of people. But the thing is, it hasn't deterred exceptionally talented people coming. It's
Yeah.
those people who are adaptable, they're able to pivot. Yeah, they're not concerned about those changes. So I think we're entering into a world where we're all evolving, and Australia is very adaptable.
Mm.
So I think that's what
That's
I
really interesting.
that's what I see.
It's, coming from Australia where I felt like, obviously, I left Australia
Yeah,
15
that's
years
why
ago.
we have this visa
It's a
program
long
so we
time
can.
ago. But it's really interesting to hear so much is happening there now. And I feel like, oh, maybe I should move back. But it's really exciting. I'm from WA and it's not open in WA, but hopefully it will be. WA is just on the other side of the country, which, yeah, I
Western
can
Australia is up and
understand.
coming. It is.
It is, it
They've got
is.
some innovative precinct hubs. They've
They
got,
do.
yeah, it's just
When,
you just need to start
yes.
looking.
Yes, when I went back, I was so surprised at all the accelerators and things that were popping up. And I was like, wow, this is great. It's amazing. But yes, I did live in Melbourne as well. And they did say that Melbourne was the best city in the world, was it?
Yeah, it's been ranked as the best. They've been crowned the best city in the world.
Wow.
It's beat New York,
Wow.
London. Sorry, guys. But
Well, Melbourne is lovely. I do love Sydney as well. Very different cities, but I do have a love relationship with UK and Australia. And like I just yeah, I can't choose. It's like choosing, do you love your mum or your dad more? It's how I feel about, living in different countries. You do love them both and they're both their pros and cons. But yeah, it
well,
is lovely to
well,
hear
hopefully
what's going
everyone
on.
today got a insight. So thank you wherever you guys are. Thank you so much for sharing the today with us, and
Yes.
I think evening for you guys.
Yes, yes, it is. I don't know what
Um,
time it, yeah. So yeah, we will leave it now. I think we've yeah, we're just on time. And thank you so much, Michelle, for joining me. I really enjoyed having you be my guest and doing this together, and sharing the different visa options that people have, exceptionally talented people in tech, because it is happening in the world, and it's great to have the options. Global mobility is key for talent.
well, I
I
always
think
say that innovation knows no borders. So just
that is
keep
so true.
innovating, keep going, change
Excellent.
the world.
So, yeah, I will share this link to everyone tomorrow in my newsletter. I will also share Michelle's details as well, her LinkedIn, her website, everything, so that you've got it there, and I'll share mine obviously as well. So, if you don't have any other questions, we're going to say good night, goodbye, good day. And yes, I will see you again soon, Michelle. And thank you everyone for coming. And if you have any emojis, if you can have access to emojis, I love it when people you know, clap or say goodbye or say hi. I'm going to do it for the first time, um, and I hope you can see it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, there we go. That's really great. I love it. I love seeing the emojis pop up. So, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you.